Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Lumberslayer and Friends podcast. Back in Lumberslayer Studios for the first time since May.
Yes.
Fucking crazy. I am your host, the one true Lumberslayer, Alex Abshan, joined as always by Adam Friedman.
Your boy.
We start every episode with a beer. Adam, what are we drinking today?
We've got some fresh local IPA. What is it? Only fresh bags.
Only fresh bags.
Only fresh bags. Urbanrest, our local boys, doing it up.
Bringing it back.
They did no can run this time, so it was just growlers on tap at the brewery. So let's see what it's all about.
Spin it open and give it a shot.
Out of the Masons, I like it.
I figured that was an appropriate IPA choice. See, like, every time I think I'm ready to move on from IPAs,
Never gonna happen, buddy.
we have one, and I'm like, yeah, it's
Never gonna
fun.
happen.
I'm just ready for fall, dude. Like, we get to August, and it's like, I'm over fucking summer. I think that's more than anything. It's got a nice little haze to it.
So, all you kids that are now watching us on the YouTube.
Oh, shit, we're on the YouTube.
Cheers to you. God, I can smell it already.
And cheers to bees. Shazam.
Cheers.
See, Urbanrest is doing the hazies upright, man.
That's delightful. Ooh, well done. Pineapple.
Big time. Not so hop heavy.
A lot of fruit. Mm-hmm. Man, it's murky as fuck too. Look,
It is.
well, up to the light. There's no light getting through that bitch.
No. A lot of head. A lot of foam sticking around there.
Fucking well done. Urbanrest. Yeah, they're about a year and a half since they opened their doors.
Yeah.
And they've done a lot of runs of IPAs now, the fresh dry hop deal. And this is one of the better ones. The Perpetual Fog is great. This is a different recipe entirely. I think on the Instagram they did post which hop varieties are in this thing, and it was like Australian and New Zealand varieties, so a little bit different.
Interesting. I like it a lot. Like I said, they're really crushing the hazy game.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Their other stuff is like pretty damn decent, but I'm really liking what they do with IPAs.
I'm getting a dankness now. It's dank.
I gotta stop fucking doing that. Amateurs.
There's almost like a cannabis-y thing going on.
Interesting. I haven't been getting that, but
on the tail end.
it's good.
It is good. So something crossed my mind the other day. We don't really, or in recent podcasts here, we haven't really talked much about what you've been reaching for when you want to listen to music. So you're working, you're cleaning the house, you're driving. What have you been listening to in the last couple of months?
We talking new stuff?
Just yes, like what have you listened that we've discovered this year so far that you've gone back to and been listening to? Because I've got a few in mind that I've been going to.
The repeat customers from earlier in the year have been in the W's. It's been The Wretched Fate
Ooh.
and The Worm Witch.
Ooh.
Both fucking stellar albums. The thing that's been catching me this year is the consistency of stuff rolling out has been exceptional. And it's been not a big year of revisits. Been a whole lot of moving forward.
Yeah.
So, stuff away from metal, very little. It's a really, really slow year from rock. And, Old Man Lumberslayer is not into this kids rap game at all. So it's been it's a little bit tough for me.
Metal or nothing.
Pretty much. I'm gonna go ahead and throw myself out there and throw myself under the bus. Are you hip to this Billie Eilish?
No.
I like Billie Eilish. It's a very young chick, like pop rapper-ish type thing. I don't even know how to explain it. I like what she's doing though.
So her name is Billie?
Billie Eilish.
I think I've heard that name, but I don't know anything about it.
I'm liking that. Other than that, that's pretty much the only thing I've been listening to other than metal. New Raconteurs is not bad. Black Keys was underwhelming. Yeah, dude, like, it's been a pretty much exclusively metal year for me. How about yourself?
I've been kind of going back to the same, like, 3 things for metal. When I do get tired of the dig, find the next thing, you know, because that's my focus most of the time. I keep going back to Mork. It's so good. It's so good. I can't get enough of it. I was spinning it again in the car on the way here. I have been listening to the new To Mold, and that's one it's a grower. It's not as catchy and exciting with the riffs that Manner of Infinite Forms was last year. That was just basically a masterpiece. But it's a little more technical. The riffs are a little more lively instead of this like slower, kind of soul-crushing riffing that you got on last year's. This one is a little bit. There's just a little bit more happening.
Sure,
it's more lively. But God, those guys are just amazing.
It's a really good fucking album. Couple that have slipped through the cracks that aren't gonna get touched on the podcast just because of long gaps, and I apologize for all the fucking weeks missed this year. This has been a rough fucking year for getting together. But To Mold, Torch, The Contortionist, all stuff that I know I like. Maybe not so much for Adam, but albums that are noteworthy enough to at least mention.
Yeah, for whatever reason, The Contortionist, it's just fallen off for my taste.
That's fair.
Last 1 or 2, meh.
Yeah.
I can easily do without him. But that's one you've been following for some time.
Yeah. Language was so fucking good. Such a great album. And fuck, dude, I really like that Torch album.
It is good. I spun that when you mentioned it. That's a nice album.
Yeah. I could see it making a comeback towards the end of the year.
And we weren't able to record last weekend, but you did come over and we split a mini keg of Oberon, which was
hell yeah,
good ass time. And like we were spinning there when we were chilling in the basement with Henry. That Dark Throne album, oh my god,
it's pretty fucking dope.
That Dark Throne album is great. That what's that track number 2? The Something of the Scots.
I can tell you the Hardship
of the Scots. There you go.
Yep.
That is one of the best metal tracks of the year without a doubt. Tremendously good song.
Mm-hmm. Those
guys are just slaying it. I mean, you know, here we are mid-August already. We are flying through the year. Fall is right around the corner, and you know, by the time fall is here, it seems like the holidays just come up out of nowhere all of a sudden. So we are moving right along, and we'll be making our list here in just a few months.
I know.
It's crazy.
And dude, what's Cloak, Alcest, Mayhem?
That's dumb.
October 25th.
That is dumb.
What a fucking day that's going to be. Like, yes. End of the year. So we got 1349 and King Gizzard's putting out a thrash album next week.
Have to check that out.
So that's going to be interesting. We got Tool just dropped their first single from the new album. New Cadaver album.
Ooh.
Like, shit's starting to stack up, dude. And there's Cattle Decap at the end of fucking November.
Yes.
And that's just what's on the docket right now.
Well, next Friday, so like 6 days from now, 5 days from now, we are getting New Equilibrium. You know, I'm a huge sucker for that.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Epic folk sound that they do. I've been a fan for a long time. Really excited to see what they do. God, the list goes on and on of good albums by them. Ayrton Temple's fantastic. Tourist for Tours, a masterpiece. Sagas was great. There is 2 in the discography that I'm not so crazy about, but those ones I just mentioned, they're one of my favorite bands out of Germany for sure.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting when they come out with something. I think they have yet another bass player that has come in to fill in. They've sort of had a different bass player for every album, it seems like. So we'll see what that sounds like. But yeah, I'm pretty jazzed. That'll really make my day on Friday, just to spin that.
Hell yeah.
So let's talk about Tool a little bit. I feel like not a single hour has gone by since the release of the new single. They got on all the streaming platforms, and everyone's getting excited for their new album to drop. I've been hearing the name Tool several times a day, every day.
Yeah, it's highly anticipated.
So, what are your thoughts and feelings on Tool? It's funny because so many people are so into Tool.
I like Tool quite a bit. I am a big Tool singles guy. And my complaint about Tool is every other person's complaint about Tool is that it gets a little bit monotonous at times. But I like them.
Right.
I like the groove.
Yep.
There's a lot of those songs that, like, I feel like if I was a little bit more of a stoner, that I'd like them even more.
Yep.
Tool is one of those bands that, like, it's not my favorite band in the world, and I'm not, like, crazy on the Tool train, but I like Tool.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that Tool's good.
Tool's
very, very good.
I have all their albums.
A good buddy of mine, Mike, down in Florida, very influential in my music discovery world, came up with a really interesting opinion on the whole Tool craze thing, and I wanted to share it on here because I think it's just a good point and a good talking point.
Good.
So we were discussing Tool, and he was sort of dancing around saying that Tool's overrated or that the hype is a little bit too much.
Sure.
And so I called him out on it. I was like, well, so what is it you're trying to say then? And he said, and I am reading a quote. This is straight from WhatsApp, Mike. He said, "They're all right, better than average, and I'm glad they've infiltrated the mainstream to potentially get folks to keep digging for more. I think for a lot of folks, Tool is the band that scratches the unique itch, and they're content with never knowing if they'd like more."
Ooh.
Very, very good point.
Ooh.
I loved that.
I do like that.
And that's why I wanted to share this. So, in other words, the way that I interpret that, which is a brilliant way to say it, for people who aren't like you and I, that enjoy doing the digging and going real deep to find new stuff, Tool is the band that they find and they're like, you know what, I'm good. Whereas Tool is just another good band for us because we're willing to go out there and find the less mainstream guys that are doing excellent music.
Is Tool the Two-Hearted of metal bands?
Well, we are a metal and beer podcast, so that's a very relevant question. Yeah, so if you are an IPA guy, but you pretty much only drink Two-Hearted,
Right.
and there's nothing...
No.
I mean,
nothing wrong at all.
Two-Hearted is fucking
it's
great.
A premium IPA.
Tool is very, very good. I see why everyone likes them, but you can go a lot further. I guess that's Mike's point. So kudos to Mike.
There you go.
Love you, buddy.
Oh shit.
Man, the memes have been great. There's a lot of Tool memes, and they're funny. Of course, I'm gonna sound like an idiot describing a meme, but I had an idea for a meme that I think would be very, very, very funny. So there's a meme where there's a patient like waking up in a hospital, and the premise would be waking up after a coma. So Maynard like comes out of a coma, and they're like, "Oh, everyone streams music now. We'll do that." Oh, haven't come out with a new album in 15 or 20 years, or whatever the fuck it's been. We'll do that too. Like he just woke up and all of a sudden we're gonna do this.
It's 10,000. I think they're 13 years out from 10,000 Days. 06 was the last Tool album.
Yeah, you can't not like Tool. They're definitely good. There's a lot more. I think it scratches the itch for a lot of people, and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna listen to Tool and drink my Two-Hearted. Back to your point.
Yeah. Meme game has been strong lately.
Oh man.
We're trying to get the memes going, so stay tuned to our Instagram, and we're gonna be posting some stuff. I'm really trying to work more of those hell no, goddamn alligator bit my hand off memes. I'm just trying to figure out better ones than what I came up with. Just ways to work it in.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, Instagram is a good place to get started with your memes, kids, but definitely take them to Reddit when you're, like, ready to, grow up a little bit. So, we also like to get involved in the Reddit game for the memes, so that's a thing. and also to go back to Mike and Rob, we have a ongoing chat where they help me discover a lot of new music, and we talk about anything and everything. It's almost a little podcast in its own, and they do a lot of helping me brainstorm meme ideas along with discovering new music. So that's always fun.
Oh, yeah. Get your asses up to Michigan. We'll do a podcast. It'll be great.
I keep telling them. So there's a band that we both checked out for today for a full review that you've been following for quite some time. And after the album that they just dropped, I am 110% on board. You want to talk about Russian Circles?
I'm into Russian Circles. So Russian Circles I found at the same time I found Baroness. This was one of those, I can't remember if it was a Pandora channel thing or if it was, if you like this, you'll probably like this.
I remember Pandora.
Right? It's been a minute. So Russian Circles is a Chicago-based instrumental post-metal group. This is their 7th full-length.
That's what I got, yeah.
I haven't been on board for the past couple albums, which is stupid because I liked everything else they've done, and this album's fucking spectacular. Spoilers. So yeah, I got the past 2 albums I got to go back and get back on. But fuck, dude, this one was holy shit good for me.
Yeah, there's so many highlights to this thing, and very, very, very few drawbacks.
We're getting a lot heavier on this one than some of their other stuff.
It's definitely post-metal. I think to a certain extent, there's some of their music you could call post-rock. This is definitely post-metal.
Yeah.
There's no shade of a doubt there for me. Yeah, since 2004, so these guys have been around a minute. They're also pretty well known for doing a shit ton of touring and live shows. So it's crazy. I mean, since I've been into metal, going on, how fucking long was that? Going on 15 years. I've never caught a live show of them, but they tour like as much as anybody. Yeah. So I'm surprised I haven't caught them. But dude, as we've now said like 3 times, this album's so good that to hear them play any of this stuff live would be a real treat.
For sure. So
that's gonna happen if they swing by our home state here.
Hell yeah. Before we go into the track by track, I love the artwork on this album. It's
very, very simple.
Almost like an artistic take on a pine tree was the feeling that I got on it, which really worked for me in terms of the way this kind of goes. I got a very in the woods, almost horror movie type thing out of it as I'm going through. The album plays very much like a score to a movie. An action, thriller, horror kind of thing for me. So
the way it's structured, which we'll get more into, they're telling a story for sure. Which is funny. It's telling a story through music. There's no vocals. It's
right.
All instrumental.
And I, quite frankly, like there's some songs on here that I wouldn't mind some vocals on, but at the same time, I don't think it's doing them any disservice to not have vocals.
I think you introduce vocals to a group like this, and you chance fucking it up.
Right.
When you have something that's going so well for you, don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Animals as Leaders mentioned something about possibly incorporating some vocals.
Wow, God, it's another great band.
Right.
Tosin Abasi is. That guy's a freaking specimen.
I think they're due to have another album out soon too, so pay attention. We might come out with that. So we start with Hunter Moon, just an intro track. Opens up very much like a Dark Baroness album would open up.
A little atmospheric.
Yeah, big and dark. Like I said, I get those like out in nature vibe. I don't know why. Like it reminds me of like what you would listen to when you're like doing a hiking trip out in the mountains.
It's almost like these guys are Scandinavian, except they come from Chicago.
Right. So just nice little intro track. Nothing too crazy. Sets up the album nice. Your usual intro track thing. If it's not a hindrance, it's fine. Arluck,
yeah.
Okay. Drum intro on this one. They take turns between hitting the drum beat and hitting the bass line, and then they come in together and they let the guitar just kind of, groove all over top of that. Moves into this crunchy palm muted section, and bass and drums just kind of hold it down for atmospheric guitar to kind of come over the top. A nice track. Not a bad way to move.
I thought that was an excellent track. So it starts with the drum intro, kind of hands it over to the bass, and then the guitar does his thing. And man, that guy is so good at using his pedals to do the looping, and he plays over his loops, sometimes 3-4 loops on top of. It's just that guy really knows his shit. That's freaking impressive.
Yeah, it's a cool track to like. There's a couple of these tracks that just like I said, very much a movie score type of thing, where it just seems like there should be some visuals going on with it, and this is one of those that like I'm feeling that a lot. We move into Milano. Eerie fucking vibes on this one to start out with.
Yeah.
Drums handling the mood changes, giving you those half times. We get a chorus assist in the middle, which was a really nice touch. You go back to using those guitar pedals, and that's coming through big time there. And that chorus using the chorus right there just like amplifies that creepiness that I really like on it.
Yeah, I think what you keep saying is creepy or spooky. To me, that just sounds like the atmospheric elements
Eerie.
Just pouring out. It's cool.
And then we go black metal in it, which was a nice little change up. And a bunch of really cool drum fills on this. Like, when you do a 3-piece, it really lends itself to, like, giving a feature to each instrument.
Yep.
And perfect example. You want to take a shot at this one?
Cahokia?
Cahokia?
That's what I'm calling it.
Holy shit.
Hello, Windows.
Right? Very much a vehicle for the bass on this track. Has some big open note moments. Grooves in the intro before the song really starts to kind of kick in, and then you get a cool guitar lead.
That guitar lead stuck in my head for a year. It's so damn good. Now, for all of your more atmospheric sounds that you're getting on this album, this is your bright and cheery, memorable guitar riffs that is the opposite of your atmospheric, eerie sound. And there's a lot of contrast. We'll talk a little bit more about this with a couple of the later tracks. So you get the contrast of that. So like this is your high place, and then you get a low place with a much more dark sound.
Sure.
Later on, I love that contrast. The structure in a couple of these tracks, this one including, they get heavy at the end. So you have this build up. I think back to your point, each instrument sort of passes it off to each other, and they sort of build on this stuff, and they're just jamming back and forth, and then at the end they have this like metal groove happening.
Right.
That happens like 3 or 4 tracks. That's like their recipe.
Sure.
It's freaking cool.
Really great ending on that track. We go into Ghost on High, and it's a nice little interlude type track.
It's a beauty.
Going back to the movie score thing, this one like kind of plays off to like when like your main character finds out the character he's been trying to save the entire time is dead, type of thing. He's finding out, and he's like, what you mean? Oh no. Like it's just got like a nice little intensity thing, and you flow the track right into Sanaya. Okay. And it's a really, really nice little kind of sad intro.
This track, Sanaya, it's all about tension. Mm-hmm. Tension builds and builds and builds and builds. It's probably the heaviest track on here. Mm-hmm. They are really, really banging on this one. I have in all caps tension underlined. It's like they do a tremendous job of building tension through music. And I got a lot of tension listening, like when I was really into listening to classical music. You get like the strings bring all this like tension. Got the same exact thing from the way that they wrote this song.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Big apocalyptic feel on it. Big heavy end that kind of dissipates into I loved closing out with just a drum beat. I think that was a really nice way to close it out. Production on this album is so fucking clean, and it's like really, it's huge for a 3-piece. And one of the things that I really like about it is when you get to just the drum track, it's a really like clear, low production, not in terms of quality, but like not a whole lot of bells and whistles put on the production on the drums. Hear those ghost notes on the snare, and like it's just fucking really nicely done. I really, really, really like that style.
I was a big fan of the production here. Let's get through the tracks and then we'll talk about that.
So we're gonna close out with Quartered, which if Sanaya was the eulogy and the burial, this is the threat of the killer is still out there of a track. Just a really nice big way to end the album. Like I said, dude, like it plays like a movie score to me, and like this just seems like your like last second guys there, and then you hit the credits. I just fucking love this album so much, dude. It's so good.
So here's the story. I spun this 3 times, and the third listen really, really sold it for me.
Yeah.
I was intrigued. I mean, you don't listen to something 3 times if you're not intrigued.
Right.
The first couple, but man, it was that third listen just really sealed the deal, and this went into my favorites of the year playlist. I mean, it's excellent. You can tell that these 3 guys have played together a long time. They really do a good job of moving through this album as a unit. They don't sound individual really. Mm-hmm. The production is perfect for what they do. There's honestly nothing at any point in the album that I would have like wanted to hear a little bit more of, or turn something up or turn something down. It's all there. Everything you want to hear is there if you pay attention to it. It's like, I hate to be a dick, but it's the opposite of like the new Baroness. The new Baroness album was super cool, but there's just like, especially in the guitars, there's just all kinds of things I just couldn't hear. And I'm like, jumping in the car, throwing on my other headphones, mm-hmm. throwing it on my Bluetooth speaker. I'm like, I can't hear shit.
Sure.
This is just the total opposite of that. Like, everything I wanted to hear, it's all there. The structure of it's super cool. The intro track is 2.5 minutes, and then that Ghost on High is 2.5 minutes. Mm. It gives it a cool structure. I talked already about the contrast between Cahokia and then going into Sanaya. You had your, like, bright and happy, cheery guitar riff, and then you just had your real depressive contrast to that exact experience. I absolutely loved it. I think it's tremendous. Like I already said, I just would kill to see this live because these guys are great. The amount that they pack in there in 39 minutes.
Yeah, it's not a long album at all.
Holy shit! But the content of this you would think would be an hour plus, just because there's so much there. But it's a short album. It doesn't keep you sitting there for very long.
Right.
It's awesome.
And I think it's a really nice balance to keep it kind of tight without having vocal lines there. I feel like you might be able to expand this a little bit more if you had vocals, but like again, it doesn't hurt it to not have vocals.
Or even another guitar player.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, as you already talked about, he's so good with his pedals, and he does looping. And on Quartered, that final track, he does like that echo sound. Mm-hmm. That's so freaking cool. They don't need a second guitar player at all. It would be a burden to the sound.
I would agree.
There's something so cool about a 3-piece band because it's like 3 dudes jamming. They don't bother with the vocals. I have a lot of respect for these guys. It's a cool thing that they've got going on, and I'm pretty familiar with their entire discography in terms of like what I've listened to, but I haven't gone super in depth on much of it. And again, you've been a big fan for a long time, so I've heard this stuff, but this one really got me. This is the best stuff I've heard from them. But I like my music heavy, and this is a very heavy one for them. Yeah,
this is moving in a heavier direction. I really, really like what they're doing, so I'd like to hear more of this. It's a pickup.
Absolutely.
Expect to see it on Albums of the Year. It's fucking good.
I wasn't as into the album art as you were. I also didn't think of that like tree concept, nature-y thing going on. It just sort of looks like 3 triangles to me. It's a little bit on the boring side.
Right now.
But the contents of the music is superb.
I dug it quite a bit. Put it in a fucking jewel case.
Oh, shit.
God damn it.
Every time.
Russian Circles has not put out an album in jewel case. I have 3 of their albums because I have promo copies. But it bums me out.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
It's a bad week. It's a bad week for old Lumberslayer. I got called out by fucking $20 spin for bitching about Tomb Mold being in a dish pack, which I thought was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, but then you went back and complimented how good of a job that they do. So
they do a great job. They put out great albums. That's just put them in a fucking jewel case. Ruin my day real bad. I don't like. I know I've made this point before. I'm gonna make it again. I don't understand why we've embraced the tradition of vinyl, and we've embraced the tradition of cassette tape, but we do not embrace the tradition of CD jewel case. I just don't get it.
Because you are the one true Lumberslayer, and
I gotta have something to bitch about, I guess. Always bitching.
What else would we even talk about in this podcast?
That's fair.
I don't even know.
If I was not or if I was unable to bitch, I don't know what we would do. So Adam found another great band, as he does. Like, I couldn't do this podcast without you, sir. For the depths that you go to find shit.
Well, I couldn't do it without you either. So I guess we're even. This was a surprise for me. Totally off the radar.
This one was cool as fuck. Horseburner, The Thief.
The Thief.
This is either their 3rd full length or their 4th release. I can't tell if they've got 2 EPs and 2 full lengths or if they've got 3 full lengths and 1 EP. Something like that. Either way, there's 4 releases. This is the 4th. These guys are from West Virginia.
I don't think I know another band from West Virginia, dude. Like, certainly not off the top of my head. I'd have to really, really dig to find something, but...
I don't either, but if I had to picture a band from West Virginia, it would be this. Be exactly this.
In terms of their sound?
Yeah. This is a nice combination of everything that you love about and related to stoner metal. You get your doom, you get a little bit of prog, you get a little bit of sludge. Yep. It's a taste of everything.
There's some just classic heavy metal in there too.
They do some thrash,
which is fun.
A little bit of thrash in there. This band, there's some intrigue here into where it's going to go from now on. So this is going to be one to watch.
Just from the start, before we even dive in, really, total opposite of Russian Circles, where I was talking about, where a second guitar player would be a burden. These guys are just the opposite of that.
Right.
Like, the harmonized guitars are just so well done here. This is a very... I'm going to go ahead and just say what I have, what I was going to talk about later in our review here. This has a real Spirit Adrift thing to it, where those 2 guitar players from Spirit Adrift, we were lucky enough to see live, they are so good in Spirit Adrift. These guys are like kind of the same thing going on. Very, very driven and led by those guitars. And in fact, the bass in the mix is a little bit lost. I would have liked the bass to be turned up quite significantly.
Sure.
It's there, but you got to really, really listen for it. I would like for it to be a little bit more in the mid range. But their songwriting here is really, really cool. And so you look at a band like this, you listen to a couple of tracks, and you're like, okay, great, stoner metal, love it. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
A lot more. It's a lot more complicated than that. So, want to dive in?
Before we do that, I'd like to make a little note. This band is everything that I do like about Spirit Adrift, Chemist, and The Sword put together. I think those 3 bands, 2 bands that I'm not huge on, and 1 band that I miss their old school sound. I think these guys are taking every single quality element of those bands and putting them together and adding a couple more elements. I like if you took those 3 bands, add Baroness and a couple of the more proggy Mastodon tunes, and this is all 5 of those made into one super magical thing that just makes Lumberslayer fucking happy. So.
Precisely. Like, spot on.
Now I'm ready to go.
I also would mention one more thing. I love to mention this, but that band Gygax.
Yeah.
And they made that they've come out with a couple albums since that I was not so big on, but their first full length debut was Critical Hits. Fucking loved it. It's like a cool little classic heavy metal with a little bit of prog. Vocalist even sounds very much like the guy from Gygax.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to throw that out there on top of what you just said is 100% exactly my thoughts on the influences of everything you just named, plus Gygax.
I can dig it. So let's rock it.
The Thief.
We start with the title track. Sweet, clean electric guitar going on there. Shows you what the two guitars are going to be doing the rest of the album. Another setup track. Does just fine for me.
This intro title track, there was one word that came to mind while listening to it. That word is Baroness.
Yep.
Like, I would have paid money being sure that was on a Baroness album. That's how Baronessy that intro is.
And production-wise, it's very early Baroness. It sounds like you would get on the first and second EP quite a bit, even going into Red a little bit. So yeah, I can definitely dig that. Moving to A Joyless King, rhythm lays down a nice slow bed for the guitar to fly over top of. Little xylophone touches, or some kind of bell going on. It's very subtle. Comes back a couple times in the album.
I don't think I picked that up at all.
No, go listen back to it. It's right there. It's there, 100%. Vocals kick in, and it's perfect placement. It's perfect style. It just could not fit the tone of this band better. Love the vocals for this group. You hit those dual guitars coming back. You drop to a single guitar with this electro effect over top of it, and a nice solo to close. One of the things that this band is going to show on the rest of this album is that they know when to kick in interesting guitar effects. The two guitars know when to harmonize and when to contrast. I fucking love what these guys do.
Yeah, that was the track that I sold you on it, right? That it's a good one. So you have your kind of fuzzy stoner effect on the guitars. And you sort of think that when you get to this track, it's like, oh, cool. It's like a kind of a prog stoner thing. And it's really just an intro. Like, that title track, The Thief, is the real intro in terms of the structure of the album. But for me, Joyless King is the real intro track.
Right.
For, like, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Sure.
And then they just take it way further. Great guitar solo there.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we'll see as you get through, the guitar solo just kind of gets better and better and better through all these tracks.
Drowning Bird was not ready for a fucking whole blast beat chaos section at all.
Drummer's got chops, man.
Drummer's got chops. Like I said, like I was not prepared for blasts. Good times. And they kick back into a groove. Guitars go ham before like an old school thrash metal attack. That like just showing off what the band can do. Love it.
Structure of Drowning Bird is very similar to Joyless King. It's even the length is only off by a few seconds. It's kind of the same thing reworked and a little bit more in the rhythm section. But still very close to the same formula as what you just heard, but a bit heavier, I would say, and a little bit less on the prog. But the next track, Fisherman's Vow.
Great fucking name.
Probably my favorite on the record.
Got that very Middle Eastern intro.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
We like to call that the Egyptian intro when My Band of Silence is writing. If I can interject with shameless plug.
That was the same vibe I was feeling off of that sort of acousticy but Middle Eastern sound.
Yeah, there's some key and some chord that you can play around with that just gives that vibe. Sort of did a bunch of stuff.
And that
played in that.
That theme that they play with that acousticy thing in the beginning, that comes back 2 or 3 times in the track where they sort of refer back to that little lick that the song starts with.
Yeah, they crank that right before and into the solo. A lot of polyrhythms going on in this track. A lot of A lot of drums playing around with some different stuff while the guitar kind of goes into a different direction. Nice combination.
And this also transitions the album toward your more prog-centered structure because the slowdown at 4.5 minutes.
And you get that kind of like underwater kind of sound coming out of the guitar effect.
And man, the guitars are chugging away. That was a standout. I mean, really, you could probably select 4 tracks on this whole thing out of the 8, and they're very, very good. But for me, that was the biggest standout. Yeah,
I was a big fan of that track as well. Well, since we're talking about Fishers, let's talk about the Seas Between. Little Grandpa's guitar interlude shifts up right at the right point, right in the middle, with electric guitars coming in to kind of give it a little boost. Does it seem like this year we're getting a lot more interlude tracks than usual? Feels like it's been a year of interlude tracks.
I think that what that is people trying to, just because we talked about this a lot last year and all the albums that we reviewed. People are just trying to structure their albums in a really easy to understand way, and that's what that's stuck in there for. I mean, I don't know.
It's fine. I don't have a problem with them, and this one's cool. It just seems like it's happening a lot more than it has in the past.
I mean, I feel like any album that hasn't done that, you've picked them apart because their structure sucks.
Interesting.
And I can think of 2 such circumstances right now where the reason you didn't like the record was the structure was no good, and you were like, this needs to go here, this needs to be moved out, But I don't think that's the case here at all.
Right on.
Perhaps because they do those interludes.
Maybe. Hand of Gold, Man of Stone. This is a thrashy old school Baroness track.
Yes.
And we get the old school double vocal harmony where one vocal is doing a scream and the other one's doing the third part harmony. Yeah, so I like that.
I think the drummer does the backing vocals.
Yeah.
According to the encyclopedia, is what it looked like. That would be really, really cool to experience these guys do that live.
Really cool leady guitars happen over regular rhythm, and another fucking ripping solo. This one's my favorite solo on the album. Big fan.
I thought that the first part of the track was a little bit repetitive. They sort of did the same thing and looped it 3 times. But it wasn't until the guitar solo that the track really picked up. And I'm going to disagree with you. I think the best guitar solo is still yet to come on this album.
Ooh.
But it was until that guitar solo that was a little bit repetitive. And then once it happened, I actually really liked what the rhythm section was doing, including the rhythm guitar, underneath the solo, that I really, really liked. So it turned out to be an excellent track, but I thought that the first half was a little bit underwhelming. But I definitely get the Baroness-y sort of mixed with thrash happening on this track.
Cool song. We go into the Oak. Very sad to begin. Cool way to start. I love the middle breakdown part on this track.
This is probably the proggiest track.
Uh-huh.
You have these tempo changes, I think 3 of them. And it's almost like they sort of ditch what they did before and like, hey, let's try something else. It's kind of the way it struck me. It was almost to a point where it goes from heavy to light. So you have sludge gives way to like elevator jazz. Goes back to sludge.
Okay.
And then back to the elevator jazz, like super prog. Like you know, you can look in like your southern metal, in terms of like the guys from Georgia and so on. No one else really does that. That's to me. This is a very, very progressive track. Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Going to Fathoms. The thing that this track did for me the most was show off their ability to do clean vocals. What do you think?
This was the real long track, right? It was like 8 minutes or something.
Yep.
This was the track that sold me on really grouping these guys in with your heavy hitters in like the Prague Sludge, Baroness Mastodon, so on.
Sure.
100%. And the guitar solo here steals the show.
That's your jam?
That was damn impressive. And that's where the Spirit Adrift really came out of me. I was like, wow. Now, see, this guy sounds like the guy from Spirit Adrift who, like, listening to him is like, holy shit, this guy is the real fucking deal. This guy from Horseburner is the real fucking deal.
Yeah.
He tore the house down with that last solo. I just have written down right here, best guitar solo on the album, just period. Just slays it.
Fair enough. Close out with the Thief song. It's a pretty way to end the album.
Yep.
It's fine. It's another one of those like short little interlude track type things. It's fine. I got nothing else on that.
I love to be surprised, and that's exactly what I was here. It was like, hey, I see this is releasing today. Let's drop it into a playlist.
Mm-hmm.
The first track comes up, like, that sounds like Baroness. Next track comes in, it's like, whoa, this is intriguing. Let's send this to Al. Move forward to Sunday. We're digging it, talking about it while we drink beer.
Bada boom.
It's a good story.
The lead vocalist of this band is how I wish Troy Sanders from Mastodon sounded now.
Wow.
He's got a little bit more grit to him than Troy does, and I really like that sound, and I would love to have a little bit more of that in Mastodon. I don't think that's coming back, and you can wish for whatever you want from your heroes, but you're not always going to get them, but that's why we have Horseburner, so we can get those things. I like this band. I would love to see where this band's going in the future, because this is a really cool fucking album. So,
did you check if it's in Jewel Case?
It's not. Dicks.
We're batting 0 today.
It's in limited edition digipack, so I'm going to make a plea, as I did $20 spin and was denied, to their label and see if I can ask for a limited edition Jewel Case, which probably won't get, but we're gonna ask anyways because we live in the internet times. Pray for Lumberslayer. How about that?
Pray for Jewel Case. I don't know.
Exactly. Do something.
Yeah, I would have liked more bass, as I already mentioned, and then I am gonna also disagree with you a little bit. By the end of this album, by the end of that last track, I'm pretty much done with the vocals. His style fits the music just fine, and he's obviously good at what he does. It's not my cup of tea. It was kind of over the vocals by the last track.
See, they were rocking for me the entire time.
He reminds me of the guy from Gygax, as I said, but it goes along with what they're doing instrumentally well enough to where it doesn't take anything away. But I was ready to just put the vocalist to rest by the end of this thing.
Fair enough.
Pretty damn good album. Glad we stumbled across it. I gotta backtrack and check out the rest of their stuff because I haven't done that yet. But this one's great.
I did break up their previous album, so I will be giving that a spin as soon as it arrives.
Must have been in a Jewel Case.
It is. So good find on you, sir.
That's what I do. That's my thing.
It is your thing. And you do a nice job of it. So between this podcast and the last podcast, my band recorded an EP.
You did.
I'm currently awaiting the first mixes. And it's a really fucking hard wait. I really want to hear it. Really stoked about it. I'm trying to figure out, and this is something that we could discuss here because we pay attention to it. And it's going to depend on when we get the mixes back. But when to release this thing is really kind of a toss-up because you generally, especially if you're coming from a position that we are where there's no recognition whatsoever, putting out your album in December is a little bit of a death sentence in terms of getting anybody to pay attention to it. And I'm afraid of putting it out in January and having it get lost in the fold because it was released so early. I feel like the sweet spot is kind of like last week of October and between the first 2 weeks of November to get it out. And if we can't do it then, it's almost worth waiting until like late winter. What do you think?
You know, it's a great time to release a metal album.
What's that?
Halloween.
That would be great, and that's a thing that we've discussed, but it's the logistics of being able to do that are the issue. Because we're in week 2 of August right now.
So are you guys putting this on YouTube, SoundCloud, all that good stuff?
It'll be on Bandcamp. It'll be on YouTube. We're gonna do a couple videos. It'll be available. It'll be on all your Spotify's and iTunes, and iTunes isn't even a thing anymore, is it? They get rid of iTunes? Was that what it's now? Apple Music? I think it's called Apple Music now. Whatever the fuck it is.
You're asking the wrong fucking guy.
Right on. We have when we do the distribution, it'll be on all platforms. You'll be able to get it.
Gotcha. I don't know. Within a couple of weeks of Halloween would be cool. Because I think you're right, man. I think that sweet spot is kind of right around that time of year.
I think your deadline is the week before Thanksgiving. Because that's when people start compiling.
Yeah.
And the other problem with that is if we're even at that point, I'm worried about potential for underground listening and getting it out. Because sometimes it takes a couple months for you to find stuff. You know?
That's true, too. But there's a lot of people whose companies and their employment really slows down in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and they don't have shit to do but to drink and listen to metal.
What a great problem to have.
I don't know from experience.
I know from experience, dude.
If you know what I mean.
If you know what I mean.
But, I mean, I don't know. In between Halloween and Thanksgiving is not a bad idea. I don't think. I mean, dude, you'll drive yourself crazy trying to find the perfect release date.
Right.
At the end of the day, you guys made a solid thing. You got to put it out there. Do I think you should do that like on Christmas? No. Do I think you should do that like, you know, after New Year? Probably not.
Happy
like,
Jesus. Here's the silence.
Don't do it on your birthday. But, I mean, you know, that's a cool time to do it in between Halloween and Thanksgiving. That would be cool. Little Christmas gift for yourself.
Hey.
Don't ignore Hanukkah.
There you go.
I don't know.
I'll give you 8 copies of A Silence's Eulogy of Man for Hanukkah.
8 crazy nights. No, but I thrilled to hear it. I look forward to giving you guys some solid feedback. I'll be spitting the hell out of that. So
I'm super stoked for it. It's so fucking hard to sit around and just wait for the tracks to come back.
Oh, dude. I can only imagine.
It's the fucking worst. I haven't heard anything back about it yet. So I needs it. I gots to know.
But I mean, you did fill me in a little bit last weekend when we hung out, but it sounds like it went smoothly and was positive all the way around. So you gotta expect a solid EP, man.
I was really happy with the tracking, and he did a really, really nice job on Knight's Oath. And I think the combination of having that behind him and having the experience of what the overall band sounds like is this should end up sounding pretty damn good. So,
and again, A Silence. I mean, I've seen you guys play live 6 times, I think. Like, you gotta sort of call it prog, black, and death metal. It's kind of hard.
I think it's melodic death with black and prog elements. I think. I don't know. It's hard.
It is hard. We basically just said the same thing, but
right.
We're metalheads, so you gotta fuss over this stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I'm thrilled about it. No matter what, I'm still gonna give Rick a hard time about how the bass sounds. So that's my plan.
That's fair.
Love you, Rick.
Oh man, it's good times. We have a show coming up on Thursday in Hamtramck at the New Dodge. Excited about that one. It'll be good. And then a couple shows in September. No, one show in September at the Diesel and one in November at the Diesel. So there's opportunities to catch A Silence again before the year is up. So we look forward to those.
Indeed. Any final words on Urbanrest?
Fuck, dude. Like I said, they're killing it on IPAs.
Yeah, I mean,
want more of them.
This one it's so murky. It's like chalky, man. It's like it almost has grit to it. I think perhaps that's the Pacific hop varieties that they're using. That New Zealand and Australian varieties of hops. It's just not your everyday hops that we're used to having in every other IPA.
It's not your
we
fucking
have
Mosaic.
around here, right? It's not Mosaic, it's not Citra, it's not Centennial, it's not Cascade, and on and on and on that we're used to in every other beer. This does have something else to it. It's super juicy, ultra drinkable. I think it's 7.7. Is that what that says?
I don't know what the fuck this thing says, man. This is such a fucking...
Yeah, they handwrite them, so whatever. But I'm pretty sure it was 7.7.
It's either 7.7 or 7.4.
I like it. It's one of the better IPA. I would say this is as good as any IPA I've had from Urbanrest, and I've had most of them because I live right by it. So
I'd like to side by side this with Perpetual Fog and see how those two do, because I really like Fog quite a bit.
Yeah.
So...
Well, they've done the Perpetual Fall. They've done like 3 or 4 runs of that, and those have varied quite a bit in between them because they're dialing it in. They're still young, but this is as good as any of those. So
That's nice.
It's cool.
They have a consistent flavor, which I find with a lot of upstart breweries, where there's just like an underlying thing that like their beers all just have that one thing that's similar.
I know what you mean,
and not in a bad way. I like this flavor, but. There's that. I like doing the growler. How do you feel about doing the growler?
You kidding? I fucking love growlers.
It's a nice way to session a podcast, I will say.
But it's kind of the perfect amount of beer.
Right. Having a crisp can and doing the start stop is not bad, but I do like doing the growler. So.
And since you spilled your true feelings, I guess we will not do IPAs for a while.
Oh, we don't have to not do IPAs for a while. I don't mind. Like I said, it's just the thought of an IPA, but in practice, I always love it. So it's never a problem. I just I think it's way more of a I'm just ready for fall type of thing. I'm ready for your darker beers. I'm ready for doing some porters and doing some stouts.
Let's do an Oktoberfest.
There you go.
Or just a German style Märzen or something.
We should do an Oktoberfest episode. That'd be fun.
Yes.
Just line up a couple, get crazy, drink out of steins,
Just
be
like
assholes.
Eat bratwurst and drink Oktoberfest.
Toss on the lederhosen and have a good old time.
Dude, this turned out to be an awesome time. Russian circles, Horseburner.
Dude,
tremendous.
Really, in terms of combining bands, I like doing contrast, but like doing these together, and there is enough contrast there that like I can't call them the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But I feel like these are two very complementary albums that I like listening to at the same time, and this was a very enjoyable experience. So
yes, couldn't agree more.
More of that, and we look forward to how the year is going to unfold in terms of releases. A lot of good shit coming up.
Hey Al, Tools on Spotify.
Oh shit! If I was a streaming guy, man, I'd be all over that. But fuck. I'm an asshole.
Did you hear that? Tools on Spotify? It's like if I hear that one more fucking time, it's all good, guys.
It's funny, like, because, like, I'm such a physical format guy, even I wouldn't not have streaming available. I mean, apples to oranges in terms of popularity and whatnot, but, like, holy fuck, dude, come on.
We're very accustomed to doing things a certain way now.
Right.
And,
Sorry to drag this out, but like, have you seen what the deluxe version of the new Tool album is?
No.
It's a 5-inch LED screen with speakers. Is the deluxe version of the new album. It's fucking craziness.
What is that, like $96 or something?
Yeah, it's something along those lines. It's nuts. Which is funny because, like, 10,000 Days. Did you ever see the packaging for 10,000 Days?
No.
It's really goofy. It's this fold-out booklet that has magnifying, like, glasses. When we're done, I'll show you the fucking... It's
fucking absurd.
It's really weird.
It's crazy because you know the guys from Tool are just super all about the music.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure the label is just like, oh, we'll sell way more if we do this gimmicky horse shit. Like, okay. Whatever.
Toss it in a jewel case. I'll buy it.
Meanwhile, Maynard's just drinking wine. Like, I don't know.
It's going to be really, really funny because, like, I really fucking like the last Perfect Circle album, and I feel like I'm going to judge this new Tool album against it.
You fucking love that album.
I really do.
It's pretty solid. There's a handful of tracks on that were really, really intriguing. But yeah, the people seem to really take the new single as proof that the new album's going to be great. I don't know, so quick to say.
Sounds like Tool to me. Like,
yeah, that was your comment. It was like, hey, the new Tool sounds like Tool.
it's about it. I don't want to be a dick about it, and I don't want to like pull apart its nuance because it's not like there isn't something there. But like to me, it sounds like fucking Tool. Sounds like the last two albums.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying I wasn't ultra sold by it. Where, I mean, if you really wanted to hook me, I would have come out with something a little bit different. Sure. But yeah, it sounded like Tool for sure.
It's supposed to be a very long album with very few tracks, so I wonder if that was just a selection of convenience in terms of a marketable track just on length. That could have been the reason that was chosen. So
that would not surprise me. You were probably right.
Anything else you need to hit, sir?
Just the rest of this beer, man.
Hell yeah.
Oh, hey kids. Listen to metal, drink beer.
Wow, what great advice. Love it. Well done. Perfectly placed.
Trying out slogans, guys. I don't know. Guys, if you're only listening to the audio, check us out on YouTube. It's fun.
It is fun.
It's cool. You can see our handsome faces.
We're there. You can see the Lumberslayer CD collection. It's all right there. In beautiful high def. And there's like a really bad glare right up there. Check that out. Very nice. So for this week's Lumberslayer and Friends podcast, I've been Alex Lumberslayer along with
your boy, Adam Friedman.
And we'll see you.